I spent more than 20 years at a leading UK health and beauty retailer, where I worked as a safety assessor and also involved with post-marketing surveillance. But before joining that health and beauty retailer, I spent my earlier years working in contract research as a regulatory toxicologist. From my perspective, cosmetovigilance is just one aspect of post-marketing surveillance. And this particular process is designed to allow companies to collect and then analyze customer complaints that people report back to them through their helpline. They will then analyze the complaints to decide if they are actually attributable to the product, and then use that in their life cycle management processes and take any remedial action if required. For me, it's a very important process in the overall safety assessment model for cosmetic products. An undesirable effect can be described as a reaction that a consumer experiences following the normal and foreseeable use of a cosmetic product. You will note that I didn't use the phrase reaction on the skin because undesirable effects can actually occur on any body surface that is described in the cosmetics regulation upon which you apply a cosmetic product. So there could be the skin, or it could be, for example, in the mouth, because toothpaste and other oral care products are counted as cosmetic products. The important thing about an undesirable effect is that it's a reaction that can be attributed to the usage of a specific product. So if you have a consumer reporting an anecdotal reaction that they can't attribute to a product, that would not be counted as an undesirable effect. And in the industry, safety assessors and other experts tend to abbreviate the terminology to UE. So people will hear safety assessors and others talk about UEs. SUE is a subclass of undesirable effects, and a serious undesirable effect is one that causes a significant change in the lifestyle of a consumer. The terminology has been adopted from pharmacovigilance, where there is a specific definition for what's called a serious effect. One of the most common ones is where a consumer will have an effect on their lifestyle. So temporary incapacity is one of the definitions of an SUE. The ultimate SUE would be death, but hopefully we don't get that sort of level of details. Now, in my time at the health and beauty company, I was actually involved with the Cosmetics Europe, the EU industry trade body task force that developed a really nice cosmetovigilance guideline for use by industry. It is a guideline that is available to all of industry, not just Cosmetics Europe Association members, and it can be found online. It's also been developed and used by the European group called PEMSAC, who use the guideline for SUE definitions and reporting. So if viewers search for the Cosmetics Europe guideline, they'll be able to get a more detailed definition of what an SUE and a UE, and actually find out more for themselves how they should be processing these two classes of consumer reactions. I think it's important to mention that there's no time allocated to the processing of UEs other than in good time within the company whose product is affected. However, for an SUE, both in the UK and in Europe, there is a time limit of 20 calendar days, and I emphasize calendar days, for the reporting of the SUE to the local competent authority. You don't have to have actually conducted a full-scale investigation within that 20 days. So, but as long as you actually report it to the competent authority within that time, and you tell them that you are awaiting further information, then that fits in with the timescale requirement. But you then have to keep them updated. Now, for the purposes of reporting an SUE, again, the EU have developed special forms that you can use to send in the details of that SUE to the competent authority. That's called the PEMSAC guideline on the EU website. Actually tells the consumer or any other person who wishes to report where they should send those. So not only companies report, but anybody is able to report a reaction. So you as a consumer can report the reaction if you wish, or medics, or for example, dermatologists can also report the SUEs to the competent authority. And I would encourage medics, dermatologists, for example, to actually do that because it all falls into what I would call product lifecycle management, to ensure that cosmetic products that are causing a problem in consumers are actually reported and remedial action. I can answer that question from an independent perspective, having worked in the industry. From my point of view, a responsible person should have a detailed knowledge about the cosmetic regulation that underpins everything, because the RP, as the entity is known, is actually a legal requirement for selling cosmetic products both in the UK and in Europe. However, I think that the RP selected should have more detailed knowledge about the whole MPD, new product development program, really from start to finish. So that would include details about raw material selection, particularly safety factors in selecting raw materials. They should also have knowledge about the fundamental testing that is involved in developing a product. And what I mean by fundamental testing is things like stability testing and microbiology testing, for whatever reason, because at the end of the day, it's that level of detail that has to go into the product information file, the PIF as it's called, and if the RP doesn't know what that information looks like or has the knowledge to interpret it, they won't know whether the information that they're putting into their PIF is valid and relevant. They should also have knowledge about the fact that a safety assessment needs to be conducted, and you have to have what's called a Cosmetic Product Safety Report, or CPSR as it's called, also in the product information file. And unless they have that detailed knowledge about the CPSR and what goes into the CPSR, they won't be able to ensure that the PIF is actually complete and correct, and be able to withstand regulatory challenge. As a nice to know, they should also know about Cosmetovigilance, because at the end of the day, that could be counted as the ultimate test of product safety. So we can do a paperwork risk assessment on the cosmetic product, but once it's actually started to be used by consumers, in my view, that's the ultimate test of safety. And if the RP has got no knowledge about the importance of cosmetovigilance and product lifecycle management, I would say that they won't be able to fully understand what information needs to be put in to the PIF. They don't need to necessarily have an expert's view of both of those aspects, but at least they should have some knowledge of the importance of the information, and B, what the information looks like. So it's from my point of view, it's quite a complex situation being an RP, and it carries a lot of weight and legal responsibility for that particular product, because at the end of the day, the consumer, if a consumer has a problem for whatever reason with a product, it's the RP's name and address on the back of pack that they will write to. So the RP must be easily accessible to consumers for them to report information back. I think it's also important to highlight that the RP doesn't necessarily need to be a named person, although that's desirable, as long as the company, the brand team, know who to direct their questions to. And I would like to say thank you for inviting me to participate in this, and it's a pleasure to be collaborating with PCR as an advisor to you. Thank you.